It is week number 20 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat. This week, Kat and Pat, well, they discuss a week full of police, hospitals, tow trucks, and narcotics. All that and more coming up right now on week number 20 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat.
It is episode number 20 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat. Patrick Gilroy alongside Katrina Patiri here on a Monday evening. Once again, Katrina, I feel like episode 20, we should have a celebration of some sort. It's a big number. The average new podcast doesn't make it beyond 4 episodes.
Wow, us trying to fit it in with our schedule, the struggle has been real.
It truly is.
And next week, I'm messing it up.
Yeah,
so.
It's okay. It's a labor of love, and we'll find a way to get it out there. The audience is growing. It's not as large as we would like, but I feel like if we don't put it out there, there's going to be some heat for it. There's going to be people that complain, whether those people are close friends and family or total strangers out there. We know of like 6 people that listen pretty religiously.
Regularly,
So
thank you to those 6 people.
And if you like what you hear, 6 people, please continue to tell your friends. It's available everywhere that all your major podcasts are found. So you and I, we start a lot of these podcasts talking about the fact that we're gassed, we're tired. I think it's par for the course. It's the norm with us. This is a very exciting time of the year for people like you and I. I'm rocking my Al Horford shirt. You've got on your Celtics hoodie. The Celtics are in the NBA Finals currently as we record, up 2 games to none over the Dallas Mavericks. 2 wins to go to get Banner 18, the elusive Banner 18. It's been 16 years since they won their 17th championship. They came close a couple of years ago. But to find a way to do it now against that douche that is Kyrie Irving would mean everything.
Big godsend. Everything
to me. But I guess this is the old man in me. Growing up, the NBA on NBC, I vividly remember the NBA Finals were such an event. Matter of fact, the 1995 NBA Finals, it was an afternoon game. New York Knicks were in the game, and they cut away from the game to watch the OJ chase. So people know I'm not making this up. That happened in the middle of the day.
Real life.
We used to have the 1 or 2 of these 1 o'clock games, a 4 o'clock game on a Sunday afternoon. So you could sit around on your couch with your family and you didn't have to worry about staying up too late. It was appointment viewing, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, game 4, NBA Finals. Like, that was awesome. And we need a couple of those in this series.
This is killing us.
So even on the East Coast, all right, where we're used to the 7 or 7:30 start time, they've pushed it back to 8:30.
But they don't start at 8:30. It's like a half hour of like warming up to tip off.
Yeah, it's what they do. It's the NBA Finals. There's longer commercial breaks. I believe the 8:30 tip actually means like 8:48 is what it was last night. Yeah. So we're pushing 9 o'clock, which means these games aren't getting over till sometime between 11:15 and 11:30. And if you're anything like me, I have a hard time falling asleep after these games because your adrenaline's going, you're into the game, and it's crippling me right now. Like, we're going to the fan event on Wednesday.
And so, that was my thing. It's like, I got invited to a work event tomorrow night. Now, I work 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. It's ridiculous. I'm exhausted enough with that. Then we stay up late for the basketball games. That sets me over the edge. Now, they invited me to a dinner tomorrow night where I have to drive to Foxborough Stadium. So an hour and a half there, hour and a half home, 3-hour round trip just driving. After working my full 12-hour day, and then also having, it's like a 16-hour day. I was like, no, I can't go. And then all the pressure comes. We're going to miss you, my friend. You need to meet this new person, blah, 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 blah.
No, stick to your guns.
And my mind is like, well, I'll be gone all next week in Long Island, and we have our event Wednesday night. I got to get a couple nights of good sleep so I can be sharp for Wednesday night.
Did you change your mind, or did you give them a maybe at this point?
Oh, no, I did a firm no.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you for doing that, because I feel like
I'm done with the work guilt.
You've got a bit of a track record where you do say no, and then the guilt comes into play, and they give you the pressure, and you always find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
But that always comes back and bites you in the ass in the long run.
It never benefits me, and I just feel like being tired and cranky after working a 12-hour day, driving an hour and a half to go sit at a 2-hour dinner that's going to be mediocre where I can't even have a beverage because I got to drive an hour and a half back home to then get a crappy night's sleep to then have an amazing opportunity to go to this event Wednesday night in the Garden? No, thank you.
Yeah, and
I do enough.
I'm looking forward to Wednesday night. It's the first time in Boston history, so I don't know how this is going to go. We've seen other cities do this, other towns do this. We've never had it here in Boston. We've got archaic laws and rules in Boston when it comes to crowds gathering, events, things like that, where we just can't say at City Hall Plaza they're going to drop a big screen and everybody's going to gather to watch the game like they do in other cities and towns. The other thing that they do in other major cities is they have watch parties held in the arena. So they give you the in-arena experience. They put it up on the Jumbotrons, and Boston, by the way, has the largest high-definition Jumbotron in all of professional sports.
We'll take it.
Brand new as of last year. Thank you, Wick Grosbeck, Steve Pagliuca, because they paid for it despite not owning the building. But they're going to give you the entire in-arena experience, they're saying. So I don't know if they're going to bring the lights down and do the music. All the concessions will be open. The cheerleaders will be there. But for me, what I'm excited about is watching an NBA Finals game with 20,000 other rabid Celtic fans.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the energy there.
And how lucky were we to get pre-booking? What was it called?
Oh, the Ticketmaster. Yeah, we had
we were VIP for a hot second going to this event.
It was great. So we have great seats for
on cheap prices
for $18 a ticket.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong there. And that's the other part of why I'm excited to go, because look, if you make the financial investment in finals tickets, in a Super Bowl ticket, something like that. Finals tickets, the get-in price in Boston started at about $800, and that is for the last row in the worst seat in the house, in the balcony, for a single seat. If you wanted to find two seats together, you're paying about double that per ticket. So you're talking about, call it a $4,000 to $5,000 investment if you want to take two people to the game, just two people going. And by the time you're done parking, eating your food, maybe spending a night in a hotel, it's $5,000. Super Bowl tickets, same idea. And it's a crapshoot. It's 50-50. If you lose, if your team loses, you've invested all that money. And how bad do you feel?
I know.
Like, not only did your team lose a game in the NBA Finals, but now you're out $5,000.
Like, that's a couple mortgage payments.
Right.
Yeah,
so this is like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Where we're up 2-0 going into this. So even if the Celtics drop game 3, they're still in command of the series. But if they lose game 3, we're investing, by the time we've had dinner, and that maybe $150, $200.
Yeah, we're on a cap budget. It's wonderful.
And we're going to get the experience. So I am looking forward to that. But these 8:30 tip-off times or game times are brutal. And when I looked at the final schedule, I was shocked to see that every single game is slated for that time. Mm-hmm. So if this thing goes 7, all 7 games are an 8 or 8:30 tip-off. And it's killing me. I don't often root for the sweep in a series. I like the drama to play out.
We need the sweep because I'm not going to be here on the 17th if we go to game 5, and that sucks.
But selfishly, I want a game 5, if only because to see them win at the Garden.
I can't watch a game 5 in New York, by myself.
I know.
I could spit at where Kyrie last played. I don't want to be there.
It's the worst. And watching Kyrie struggle in this series through the first 2 games has been amazing. So I saw a stat today that with the 2 rosters combined, 18 players have played at least one NBA Finals minute. Mm-hmm. If you rank them, Kyrie has been 15th worst. It's incredible to me because
knock on wood, let's keep him with those stats.
Going into this series, they were talking about he and Luka as the most dynamic backcourt duo in the history of the league, and talking about Kyrie as he's got that dog in him, according to Stephen A. Smith.
Our press has just been so bad for us.
It's been brutal. The whole NBA Finals press experience has been kind of a joke. They're looking for a storyline that doesn't exist. They're looking to create a rift between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And
it just doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And no matter how hard they try, I love that JB and JT aren't allowing it to happen. Mm-hmm. I'm having chest pain right now. That's why I'm holding my chest.
Oh, that's fun.
So I'm hoping that It's
Take a couple deep breaths.
not a heart attack.
Are you like that stressed about what the game's going to be like?
I don't know what's the cause right now, but it's a little freaky. I don't want to die while recording the podcast.
Well, let's not.
It is a labor of love. But although Kristaps Porzingis tweaked his leg injury last night, and I loved his comment after the game. So he tweaked it. He said, I'm going to have to get some imaging tomorrow. They asked if he's going to play in game 3. He said, of course I'm going to play. I don't care about the injury. I would die out there.
Oh,
what a great comment. What
a commitment.
Nobody's fit into Boston better than that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has fallen in love with the city, and the city has fallen in love with him. And
there's nothing like Boston fans to keep you going.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. And, he's never been this close to winning a championship before. He's another one. He's been in the league for 9 years.
It's his best opportunity.
Every team he's played for.
Go out there and die.
Every team he's played for sucks.
Yeah.
Except for this one. I think he had only played 16 playoff games his entire career. He's played that many this year. Or the Celtics have played that many this year. Mm-hmm. He's missed a bunch with the injury. But, for him to say, no, it's the NBA Finals, I would die out there. It's exactly what Boston fans want to hear. And I give him a lot of credit for knowing what the fans want to hear and backing it up. It's clear watching him run, he's not right.
Well, I mean, just how excited he is after every positive play, the smile on his face.
Yeah, you can't fake it. It's infectious. And I think it's trickling down to his teammates, too.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing him out there hobbling on one leg and still performing, and they're elevating their level of play. And it's been a super interesting series to look at from an analyst perspective. And if and when this thing ends with a Celtics championship, we'll have plenty of time to break down, maybe why Jason Tatum struggled shooting the basketball, but how he elevated every other part of his game. And I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking basketball, but I do feel a responsibility to say this. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. And every player that has played Jason Tatum's position since Larry Bird has been compared to Larry Bird. If you play forward in the NBA, LeBron James constantly compared to Larry Bird. Well, what all the analysts agree, what has separated Larry Bird from all the other wildly talented players that have come after him is Larry's ability to make his teammates better. And that's what he gets so much credit for, elevating the level of play of the average player, making Danny Ainge look like an all-star, taking Dennis Johnson's game to the next level, making Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish first ballot Hall of Fame players, even though they got him for a bag of balls from Golden State.
I'm sitting here staring at Larry Bird's plaque that I got you last year.
Right there.
And it says right here, 8,974 rebounds.
Unbelievable. He does everything else.
The epitome of a teammate.
1,000%. And he was so great at keeping his teammates involved. He was one of the best assist men in the league, especially for his position. And while Jason Tatum is struggling to shoot the basketball, he's in one hell of an offensive slump. He has elevated his game everywhere else. He's averaging double-digit assists and double-digit rebounds. He's making his teammates better. He had 5 assists in the first half alone to Drew Holiday last night because Drew had it going. So while Tatum's offensive game, I still think he's going to need to have a 35, 40-point outburst for the Celtics to close this thing out. While his offensive game has taken a bit of a hit here, I give him credit for elevating everything else in his game and making his teammates better. Because if that's the measure that we've held everybody else up against for 35, 40 years since Larry Bird's been done, then why aren't we holding Tatum to the same standard where, sure, he's only giving you 18 points a game on average right now, but he's averaging a near triple-double because
he's a team player.
He's doing everything else. So, you got to give credit where credit is due. And like Larry said, and all the other great offensive players, if you're in a shooting slump, how do you get out of it? You just keep shooting. Mm-hmm. So I don't get mad at Jason Tatum taking 22 shots. It sucks that he only hit 6 of them. It's a bad number. But I give him full credit for the 12 rebounds and 9 assists and everything else that he did to make up for the fact that he can't throw the ball into the ocean right now.
Mm-hmm.
So up 2-0 going into Dallas. Game 3 is Wednesday night. And, yeah, we'll see what happens here. By the tone of the podcast next week, we'll know where the Celtics are at. Because if next week they haven't won a championship yet, it means this thing is going probably 6 or 7.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
So, well, and next week we're going to have to record on Father's Day.
We are. And that was another great transition. You are getting good at this. So Father's Day is a-coming. And it's another Hallmark holiday.
Well, in true Boston fashion, and you guys can't see me, I'm doing my lobster claw hands. We're going to have lobster and steak because that's your favorite. And Dad's going to cheat on his diet for Father's Day.
I'm looking forward to that. And, Connor will be here, which is nice. Unless, of course, his dietary demands have changed since last year. He always loved steak and lobster, but watch him complain.
Well, he'll still eat steak and,
It's just, you never know with these fucking kids these days.
No, maybe I'll put a live lobster in his bed if he complains.
That's a good idea.
I know.
Can we take the elastics off the claws, too? Just give him a little pinch on his dick.
Right?
Right there.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Take the foreskin right off.
Oh. And then have his mom take him to the ER.
She doesn't take him to the doctor.
I know.
That costs money.
I know. That's just too far.
It costs money. We have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But Father's Day is coming. And it's interesting because I hate Father's Day. I'm grateful for everything that you do for me to make it a nice day, but I miss my dad. And there's no way around that. So no matter how much you try to distract me during the day, I'm going to miss my dad, miss my grandparents. And then I'm going to have to deal with my mother calling me, crying. Instead of calling me to wish me a happy Father's Day, she's going to call me crying because she misses her father and she misses my dad, her ex-husband. And I'm going to have to talk her off the ledge. So it's like, what the fuck? If it's supposed to be about me, can we just hold the tears till the day after Father's Day?
I mean, that would be ideal.
It's not going to happen, though. It's not going to happen.
No.
Speaking of my mom, I did want to get into this.
Okay.
Fuck, I love her and I would do anything for her.
Oh, are we recapping last week?
Yeah, I have to.
You have to. It's a great story.
This is what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
And if
missed work day.
If you didn't know me the way that you do, if I was a casual friend or a work associate, or if you were my boss and I was taking time off to deal with my mom, you wouldn't believe you would ask me for evidence. You would want to see something from...
Every time something comes up, whether it's you or whether it's me, because we're tit for tat on this, right? My first...
Tit for tat with Cat and Pat?
Yeah. My first response is always you can't make this shit up, but we still find a way to, you had to miss work, but we still kept everything else on schedule.
And in fairness, I did go into the office and I did close a giant deal that day while in the waiting room at the Saugus police station.
Because what we don't do is we don't take a full day off. Even when we're on vacation, we're still responding to what is the most important? What is a priority that I need to get off my desk today? Whatever it is. You and I both do that.
Yeah.
So even though it was a day that you had to deal with some serious shit from your mom, you still, any opportunity there was to squeak in work.
Yep.
You squeaked it in.
So I get a call the night before, right?
So much so. Was it Walmart who called you and you're like, I gotta go?
Yeah.
And then I called back later to get an update and you're like, the police officer's calling me back, gotta go. And so I went 10 hours the whole day not having any type of update, but
I mean,
okay.
I had to do what I had to do.
No, totally. I was in the weeds myself, so.
So she, I hate just putting it out there like this, but my mom was a really good mom, registered nurse, put me and my sister through private Catholic school, and was married to my dad for 20 years. And even post-marriage into their divorce, they maintained a very close, almost best friend type friendship. So she's a heroin addict. She was for a long time. So nursing, working double shifts led to crack, which led to coke, which led to heroin, which led to pills, which led to rehab, which led to pills, which led to this. So you never know from day to day. I don't think she's shooting H anymore, but I know she is certainly abusing pills.
Yeah.
Side story. She lives in disabled elderly housing, and it is a pill mill, essentially. So what happened is everybody...
they legit have pill parties.
Everybody that lives in these buildings they're all prescribed something very powerful. So in mom's case, it's methadone and oxycodone. The neighbor's case, it's Percocet. The one to the other side is Vicodin. Somebody gets morphine. I know that. There's Dilaudid upstairs, like anything you could ever imagine.
Yep.
This is a drug fiend's dream to rob this building. And they all seem to get their government checks on the same day, which means they all fill their prescriptions on the same day, which means
they carpool there together.
They do. They carpool.
And
to
mom
CVS.
has one of the cars.
She does.
You're
Well,
like,
she did.
She did.
She did have one of the cars.
That'll get there, but like she was a ride.
She was one of the rides to get there. So they all do their big pill exchange, and they all huddle into one person's apartment and dump them out, and trade this for that and whatever. So she's driving and feels. Well, she said she felt tired. The reality is she was nodding, which is a heroin term for passing out, eyes roll in the back of your head. So she says she pulled over. The police officer that called me said that she drove her car into somebody's front yard, and luckily she managed to stop the car. Her foot was on the brake, but the car was still in drive when he found her, passed out behind the wheel. So he has a choice to make at this point. He searches her and finds her pill bottle, one pill bottle for one prescription that had all of her prescribed pills plus the other party pills in there.
So they don't get stolen.
So they don't get stolen because her apartment has been robbed before, so she carries them around everywhere she goes. The reality is, if she's got 300 pills on her and each one's worth $10, then that's $3,000. Like, that's what it is. But he has a choice to make. She's a feeble older woman. She's only in her early 60s, but if you met her and heard that she was 82, you wouldn't question it. It's just how she looks, how she walks. So, he's debating arresting her or not. He's got every reason to arrest her, but he offers her the ability to go to the hospital and get the car towed. So he confiscates her medication. She's allowed to get it back pending proof of prescription,
Which she had.
So then the phone call comes to me, and what do we have to do? You have to wire me money into my account because I call the tow yard, and the tow yard is cash only.
Yeah.
I am in my office in Salem, New Hampshire. We live in Windham, New Hampshire. The tow yard is in Saugus, Massachusetts. It's funny because...
Well, and then, like, at this point, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and after 1, the rate goes up.
It's the next day.
Yeah.
So they charge you $170 per additional day. At this point, it was going to be like $380 to get the car out and have it towed back to my mother's place. So you send me the money. I have to, even though they were able to email me the release form and they were able to digitally accept an image of my mom's license to go alongside the release form, they will not take a credit card over the phone. They don't have a website to take a credit card. It is not an option. The only way you're getting that car is cash. So I got to drive to Saugus to deal with that. At this point, mom's in the hospital. So I go to the tow yard, take care of the car. The car is now headed back to mom's place.
Well, and she spent the night in the hospital?
Yes.
And you don't, so this all transpired the night before. We're finding out 10:30 in the morning?
Yeah, the morning of. Yeah, the next morning we're finding out. So at this point, it's looking like she's going to get admitted for another night. But she's got a little dog, and the people that run her building won't unlock her door for the neighbor to go take care of the dog. They'll only unlock the door for me. So the plan at this point was, I am going to go from the tow yard to the hospital to get her keys to go get the dog, to bring the dog home so it can piss and shit all over our house.
Well, so you have to get to the tow yard and have it out before 1, or pay for it before 1 so we don't get charged the extra money. But then you also have to make it to her housing authority before 2 in order to get the key to get let in to get the dog. And if you're not on this timeline, then you have to forego trying to get the dog and go to the hospital to get the key, because then you have time in the afternoon to get the dog.
No pressure at all. So we're dealing with all that. I get to the hospital. Lo and behold, they're gonna let her out. But now I got to sit there and wait an hour and a half for her discharge papers. But the good news in this scenario is we don't have to bring the dog home because I'm gonna take mom home and do that. So I wait the hour and a half. I take mom home. Now, mom is dependent on her medication.
Well, I mean, you did work that hour and a half when you were
Of course
waiting.
I did.
Yeah.
I did work. That's, I think, sort of understood. I guess, maybe. Yeah, I answered emails. I made phone calls. I did my job to the best of my ability, to the point where I called my president and I said, hey, just charge me with a vacation day. This is a nightmare. And he said, no, I see your email and you're working. Just do what you have to do for your family, but I'm not going to take a vacation day from you. So big thank you goes out to Al. But I finally get mom home. Now, we're not done yet at this point. We're not even started yet, because her medication is narcotic. It is opiate. So if she doesn't take it as scheduled regularly, she goes into massive withdrawal, which is just going to put her back into the hospital, if not kill her. However, because it is a narcotic, the doctor is unwilling to write another prescription. He's not going to do that. You lost it. You were irresponsible with it. It's your problem. She swears up and down. The cop said that she can get it back with proof. So
This is when you have to be there like by 3:30
oh yeah. Well,
for when the new cop is coming in, but you have to do it with the new cop at 3:30, who the arresting officer was.
the arresting officer was leaving at 4:30 for a long weekend, but he's the one that confiscated her medication. But once he confiscated it, he gave it to another officer who runs the evidence locker.
Right, and one was at 3:30 and one was at 4:30. So again, like really tight timetables here.
So I can't get it back without evidence locker guy signing off on it. So I have to go to the police station within that window to meet both of these guys. And then I get put through the fucking ringer. So at this point, I get a lecture when I get there saying, we're not supposed to do this. We never do this. When medication is confiscated, it's only given back pending a judge's ruling. But he didn't arrest my mom. There's no court date.
I'm sure the walker helped.
I'm sure the walker did help. But there's no court date. So they don't know what to do at this point.
Well, it's a medical issue.
So they did look up my record. So when I get there, they're like, well, it looks like you've been keeping your nose clean for the last 14 years, but explain this to me. Like, what? So I have to go through the ringer to get her medication back. Again, big thank you goes to the Saugus police. They hand the medication back after about an hour of, they had me in an investigation room. Two cops talking to me like I did something wrong.
And ideally, your mother really shouldn't have her license anymore, and it did us a favor.
So, again, do you think that's going to stop her from driving?
Well, I sure hope so.
Have you met my mother? Like,
yeah.
It is what it is. She's going to do what she's going to do. And it's going to come back and bite me in the ass at some point. But I don't think she's driven this week, which is nice. And hopefully she continues down that road and finding other ways to get what she needs to get. You're a big part of that. You always stock up on everything that she needs. Yeah. And we bring her big...
She gets her little shopping, and I do all my price hopping, coupon clipping for all her necessities.
But the long and the short of it is, it took about 8 hours, but we got her car out of the impound, her out of the hospital to take care of the dog, and all her medication back. But now, what time did I call you? Like 4:30, 4:45? Instead of heading home?
Right, your prime time to go hit Route 1, to hit 128, to drive 93 North on a Thursday of a gorgeous weekend.
Yeah, so it took me 2.5 hours to get home. It was one of the longest days in recent memory. But I guess that's what you do as the good son. Now, the caveat to the story is I've got a sister who's 2 years younger than I am, and I'm 44, so she's 42, who's a registered nurse that works. My mother was on the 5th floor of the hospital. She works on the 2nd floor of the same hospital. Do you think she got involved? Do you think she came up to say hi to mom? Do you think she did anything to help?
No.
She doesn't even know that my mom was there because she just completely disconnected from the family a couple of years ago and stuck all the pressure on you and I. And we're not even married yet. Like, she's not even technically your mother-in-law yet. And you...
Buy her undergarments.
You buy her underwear.
You do.
Like, you 1,000% do that for her. You buy her pads. Like, you do everything that she needs. And we love you for it, because I certainly couldn't do this all by myself. But that day sucked. Like, that day absolutely sucked.
So thank you to the Boston Celtics for winning the game that night.
1,000. That was my main concern.
That totally turned it around.
It was game one. And I had to be here for the start of game one. So then I get home from all that, and we have friends coming over to watch the game. And what happens? My phone rings, and my 78-year-old owner of my company can't figure out how to
Can't get his
access
tickets.
his tickets
So,
on his phone.
he has enough money to have amazing, practically courtside tickets.
Yeah, Loge,
to game
Loge, like middle of the Loge, like row 2. Like, it's unbelievable.
They're beautiful seats, and we're lucky enough to go like probably like once a year.
Yep.
But he can't get in, and everybody's calling you, and you're like, I can't solve anything anymore, and you've got the phone on speaker. And I'm like, well, Al has access to his email.
Reset the password.
You reset the password, and then that way you can capture them on the app. And then if you capture them on the app, instead of talking to him, you can send them to his wife, who's our age.
Right. So we wanted
understands the technology, and it's like, rob Peter to pay Paul to get to the tickets so that we can enjoy sitting on our couch to watch the game.
So once I figured out how to do this and to get the tickets over to his wife, who speaks broken English, I tried calling him to say, hey, don't worry about it. And she answers his phone because he is at the Ticketmaster window at the Garden screaming at the ticket people, saying, I'm a fucking season ticket holder for 20 years. What do you mean I can't get my tickets?
To electronic tickets for
somebody like that, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. So, he was really having a hard time. So then I had to walk the foreigner through clicking the link and putting the tickets in her Apple wallet and getting them in. Luckily, after we hung up, half an hour goes by and I get a text from her with a heart and a shamrock, and it says, thank you so much, we're in our seats. So I had to solve my mother's problems. I had to get her out of legal trouble, out of the hospital, make sure the dog was safe, get her medication back, get home on time to solve my 78-year-old CEO's ticket problem, and solve it with your help and the help of his foreign wife. And that is just another day in the life of Cat and Pat.
And what I was cooking for dinner that night, instead of making it homemade, I pivoted to slow cooker because my day went awry. And yet, broke a plate for just slippery hands, and we still sat down on the couch, had an unbelievable night watching the game.
We did. We had a great time. Friends came over. We watched the game. Celtics win. And I guess that's the moral of the story. It's just another, you can't make this stuff up, which is why we decided to do a podcast. Because the content is always the hardest part for people to come up with, to keep it fresh, keep it exciting, keep it new. And I feel like the content...
We get a different surprise every day.
Yeah, the content is just, it's flowing from the heavens when it comes to Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. Did I miss anything? Or are we wrapping up? Is there something else we wanted to hit on?
Well, we're recording Father's Day.
Yeah, we're recording Father's Day. We'll get that done. I'm sure there'll be a story or two to tell on Father's Day. I'm sure my ex-wife will fuck it up and drop my son off at the wrong time, or forget to drop him off, and we'll have to call because she won't even realize that it's Father's Day. I am sure...
Maybe you can get another Patriots pillow because you're...
I'm sure if I do get a gift, it's going to be a half-ass gift, unless you have something to do with it. I'm talking from him, because it's going to be thoughtless and last second. Between the Patriots pillow from him and the cuddle duds from your kid, I'm just...
Well, I mean, didn't you get a broom one year too?
I did.
The broom actually came in handy.
I like the broom. The broom is actually a great gift.
It's a good broom.
I use that broom. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a day for everybody else, and I smile and say thank you to everybody. That's what it is. If it was really about me, I would tell my ex-wife to keep my son so I could relax on Father's Day.
I know. And my father was the same way. I'm like, what do you want? What do you this? And he's like, well, I don't have my dad. I don't have my grandparents. You guys are all moved out.
Oh,
Really not a day about me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Got to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
It's a little guilt.
But Patrick is aces in my book, and he's real win Katrina. So whatever he wants to eat, I can cheat on my diet that day, which is basically my dad's way of saying, yes, please feed me that food that I'm not supposed to eat.
The fucker
Thank you to Patrick for having that type of palate.
Well, the fucker, on one hand, he plays the diet card. On the other hand, you can find him every Thursday housing Chinese food and sucking down $5 Mai Tais.
Yeah.
So, the diet thing, last year, remember, we got into a fight over Father's Day because he was really into the diet last year, and he couldn't have lobster. It was a big deal around here. So I'm relieved that this year he went with the flow. But you were proactive in your approach this year. You said... I
had two options.
You said if my dad does want to come and eat, is on the diet, we can do your lobster the night before. We can, if you want something else, you were great. So you laid it out the right way for me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
And then I gave my dad option 1, option 2. And he's like, well, have you bought me a gift yet? I said, no. And he goes, well, then have my gift be how much money you're going to invest on the lobster and steak. And I choose that.
Awesome.
For the barbecue.
So I am looking forward to Father's Day because that is my favorite meal, and I cannot wait to have it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate Dave going with the flow this year. It makes life a lot easier. All right, Celtics up 2-0. Mom's not in jail. Mom's not in the hospital. The dog is okay. And we are going to the Celtics watch party Wednesday night.
So excited.
Next week when we come back, we'll have a better idea where the Celtics are. Are they champions? Are they still fighting for a championship? You'll be on your way out the door going to New York for your job that just does not relent.
It doesn't quit.
But we may have some news on that front coming up soon as well. So lots of good stuff to get to as, oh yeah, by the way, the summer vacation starts for the fucking kids this week.
Yeah, I know. His first day of no school, I'm gone.
Yeah. Hold on. He's got no school. I have to work all day.
And he has skills and drills.
He's got skills and drills football.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know this kid, the adjustment back into football, I don't think is going to go as easily as we'd like it to. He'll eventually get there. It just takes him a minute. And that is a very stressful time for me as well, as they call me down from the, up on high watching. Hey, can you talk some sense into your fucking kid? So
they're going to have a Zach's Chop House food truck. So maybe one of the nights I don't need to make dinner, you could just buy from the food truck.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What a bad burger, like chewy steak.
I mean, I still already have in my mind.
But before they, like, whatever, like Zach's could have been so great. But before they worry about their fucking food truck, how about they worry about the fucking food in their restaurant?
Or like having it in stock, having wine in stock, like doing okay.
Yeah, we went there 2 weeks ago and had to go through a litany of items to get something, and it was like our 4th choice, and they had no wine, and they price it like it's Morton's. So if you want to price it like Morton's, that's fine. Just give me the Morton's or Capital Grille experience, and I have no problem with that.
Right, we ended up having
a glass of wine and leaving.
Yeah, and we went to a different restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They missed out that night.
They did.
All right. Her name is Katrina Pateri. My name is Patrick Gilroy. This is episode 20 of Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends. Find us on iTunes, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on the Kirk Minahan channel on YouTube. Until next week, when we'll be back with more NBA Finals fun. Bye-bye.